And on 7 Up Front tonight, we're taking a closer look at the key findings in this report. Joining me this evening is Lydia Wilden, Research Associate with the University of Michigan's Detroit Metro Area Community Study. Ms. Wilden, thank you very much for being here tonight.
Yeah, good to be with both of you.
And let's start with that 20% unemployment rate. We know a large number of people left the workforce at the start of the pandemic, but this survey shows a significant number of Detroiters stopped working within the last year. What did your findings show the reason for that?
Yeah, so we do see that a sizable proportion of residents, particularly those who are unemployed, have been out of work for just a year. When we look at the number of people who are entirely outside of the labor force, actually most of those people have been out of the labor force for a much longer period of time. Those are retired people, people who are disabled. So when we look at who's actually left in just the last year, it's closer to about 14% who have completely exited the workforce, as opposed to those who are unemployed right now, which means they might be searching for work or have been recently laid off, and so it's a more temporary status.
Your study discovered significant disparities among those most affected by unemployment in Detroit. What are those disparities, and are they at all surprising to you?
You know, unfortunately, I don't think that they're particularly surprising. Well, some of the disparities that we're seeing are that low-income residents, so those who are earning less than $30,000 a year, are significantly more likely to make up the unemployed. Similarly, people without a bachelor's degree are also overrepresented in the percent that are unemployed. And I think one thing that's really concerning and maybe a bit puzzling to me is differences that we're seeing in recovery, or who's going from unemployed to employed. So one thing that we are seeing when we look at our survey from this summer in June compared to our survey in November and December is that the unemployment rate for white Detroiters fell by half, from 14% to 6% over that period, whereas the unemployment rate among Blacks and Latinos was virtually unchanged. So we're really seeing a disparity when it comes to race in terms of who's getting back to work.
Still work to be done, certainly, then, in that regard. What did surprise me in reading some of the survey results was the number of parents who are in the group of people leaving the labor force, and that 1 out of 4 left within the past year. What do you make of that?
I want to be clear here that actually what we see is that the bulk of parents, about 75% of parents, are in the labor force. The parents who we see leaving the labor force in the last year is 25% of those who are out of the labor force in general. So that another way of thinking about that is that parents are much more likely to be among those who have recently exited, but the majority of parents are still working. And when we asked people about why they weren't working, it's not a huge mystery why parents in particular might be exiting the labor force. One respondent said, "I have no childcare and I'm not putting my kid in daycare with COVID." Another said, "I don't have a babysitter." And then a third said that school schedules and conflicts were part of the issue of why they weren't able to work. So I think with some of the school disruptions that we've seen, questions about childcare access and childcare support, and just churn in terms of work schedules and work opportunities, that's part of what's causing some of these parents to say, for now, I'm just going to be a homemaker, or I'm choosing not to work, or I'm otherwise exiting the labor force.
Making the best decisions for themselves. Lydia, thank you so much. Lydia Wilden is a research associate with the University of Michigan's Detroit Metro Area Community Studies. We thank you for your time tonight, Lydia. Thank you.
Thanks so much.